All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Auto Talks US for Gearheads by Gearheads. Tariffs are rising, lap times are dropping, and the road to Jeddah is heating up. Those are the things we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be a fun one because this whole tariff thing just continues to kind of evolve every day. And then we're, of course, going to talk about super lap battles and DRE, Dream Ride Entrepreneurship. This really, really cool sort of non-profit charity thing that happens during Super Lap Battle this past weekend at Circuit of the Americas. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, here in just a few hours, we've got the Jeddah Grand Prix in actually 2 hours time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. The qualifying results were kind of unexpected. Verstappen put in a just stupid lap. It came out of nowhere. It was a really, really dominant lap. I think it was like a 1:27.2. Sadly, Norris, he crashed, broke the front suspension. He even had a quote. He was like, got to take it on the chin on this one. So feel horrible for him on that. So our top three starting this race are going to be Verstappen, Piastri, and Russell. Well, technically top four since there's two rows. So our first two rows are Verstappen, Piastri, Russell, and Leclerc. So we do have a Ferrari in the mix in the top four. That's exciting to me. Let's see. Well, since we're already talking about it, I'll just address what I think the elephant in the room is in Formula One right now is Lewis and not being able to come to terms with the Ferrari car. It's now the seventh race, to my knowledge, and he's just not quite been able to get up there. So they're gonna have to keep developing his, I guess, connection to the Ferrari camp, because you don't want to say that it's Lewis not being able to drive. We know that's not the case. He's a seven-time world champion. Of course he can drive. But same thing with the Red Bull. It does take a particular type of driver to drive a particular type of car. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Lewis not being able to really come to grips with the Ferrari. But in any event, it's exciting to see that development. I'm excited to see what he does today from seventh position on the grid. He's got Carlos right in front of him, which of course is whose seat he took. So it's like kind of a little jab there from Williams, like, hey, you let your guy go. He's now beating your guy. We'd love to see that in Formula One. That's super competitive. And then on the competitive front, Lawson's down there in 12th. I've always said this. I think you guys gave Lawson the floor a little bit too early. I mean, you got to let these young guys from Formula 2, like, as soon as they dominate in Formula 2, everyone's hair stands up in Formula 1. They're like, oh, he's the next guy, mate. It's like guys like Helmut Marko just can't wait to get their greedy little fingers on these young rookies to make them a shitload of money, excuse my language, for their companies when they're clearly not ready. And so they fall back to the likings of, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th on the grid in cars that somebody like Checo or Roman Grosjean or a number of other guys who aren't in the sport anymore could wrangle the performance out of. These are fantastic cars. You just have guys who are sadly too young and too inexperienced to drive them. So that's just my personal opinion, whatever. But it was a really good qualifying session, I think. There's going to be some interesting stories coming out. One of the first being, Norris, as I said before, he's kind of like, I've got to take it on the chin on this one. He's reflecting, of course, on the Q3 crash that he had in Saudi Arabia. First real kind of qualifying incident we saw from a championship leader in a while, because they usually handle qualifying really well. He confirmed with the team that he was okay, and then he kind of moved on. The team said, we've got a lot of work to do, sadly, which of course means that he did some damage to the car. So they mean physical work to do, not like we've got some work to do as a team, but they've got some work to do to work on the car. Somebody else, I think this was Lando, said it's been such a smooth, positive weekend so far. So we're excited to have such a big so we're sad and disappointed to have such a big setback, but I've got to take it on the chin. I apologize to the team, my driver, my mechanics, and the engineers, and try and go again tomorrow. The car's quick. The car's been good all weekend, so I think I have to overtake the cars tomorrow. So, with that being said, if you guys are not already doing so, please visit my Prize Picks link in the description of this video. You guys will be able to put down some bets on today's race. You've still got 2 hours to do it. Well, from the time of this recording, of course. You guys probably won't hear this episode until after the race, which I just realized, but that's okay. It sets you up for the next race. That's the last of the triple headers. We do have some amazing racing coming up in just a few weeks. I think it's actually 2 weeks, so we're going to skip a weekend, and then we're in Miami in May. So get your bets in for May with the link in my description. Prize Picks, of course, will give you a little bit of cash to start with. If you use my link, it's a fantastic way to get into the sport. It makes it a little bit more exciting to watch when you've got a little skin in the game, so to speak. Support your favorite drivers. Place bets on pit stops. See how close you can guess those to the second as the teams actually perform them in real life. So that's, of course, really cool. But yeah, guys, we went to sorry about that. We went to Super Lap Battle last weekend to meet up with a bunch of friends that we hadn't seen in a while, and also do some really fun stuff on the media side with Dream Ride Entrepreneurship. It's this really cool thing ran by a gentleman named Michael. He's put together a kind of a fun event sharing supercars with young kids from various communities. So Dream Ride Entrepreneurship basically gives these kids a chance to experience these cars in action around Circuit of the Americas, and also speak to the owners, get to know the owners, that sort of thing. So we had a really cool time there. But at Super Lap Battle, guys, it's no surprise that in the GTX class, Oliver Webb took first in the 720S GT3X. All weekend long, that car looked so fast, and they also had a sister car. It was a Super Trofeo, driven by Jem Hempworth. This fantastic Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. So in their class, I think they were up there as well. But the top two overall on Saturday was the Multimatic Ford GT Mark IV. Of course, you can visit the Auto Talks US YouTube channel. I think it's still called That Shelby Guy Igor, but you will find it if you search Auto Talks US, I'm sure. And that is a fantastic car. That's a car that is entirely for the track. It's not street legal in any sense of the word, but it was available to average consumers. This particular Ford GT race car was not the car that won Le Mans in 2016. It in fact is faster, according to the owner of the one we saw at COTA. It's actually a lot faster and about 300 more horsepower. So this is a car that's available to the general public. Granted, it's very expensive. It's upwards of $1 million plus, sub $2 million, but it is a purpose-built race car. There's only 67 of them, I want to say, ever being built and sold to the public. And so this gentleman that we did an interview with, which you can see on the YouTube channel, he owns and pilots one of these cars. In fact, he's got the Mark II and the Mark IV. And we kind of go into details a little bit about what the differences between the two. It's a lot of fun. You guys can visit the link in the bio to find out more about those two cars, because the Mark II is actually a lot closer to the street Ford GT with just an aero package, whereas the Mark IV is now 300 more horsepower than the Le Mans car and faster around the track. It's a pure race car. It's got this tiny little window that you slide into. I actually saw the door opening in and out. And on that note, actually, so I will say 2 years ago when the Mark IV was announced, we were actually at Velocity Invitational at Sonoma Raceway and got to see that same car being launched. Not the one he owns, but one of those 67. Got to see it on track. As a matter of fact, I went out on track while that Ford GT Mark IV was in the pits still. So I'm driving this carbon fiber 67 GT500 CR prototype, and then as I'm leaving the pits to get out onto the track, that car was still in the pit lane with the team. So that was really cool to share the track just for a few seconds with what is Ford's most dominant consumer race car, if you want to call it that. It's no surprise. Team Rafa was kind of dominating the whole ordeal. They're of course a race team from Houston, I believe. Super cool. They're the ones who were running the Super Trofeo and the McLaren 720S GT3X. Just absolutely crazy. Total missiles. Really, really experienced drivers behind the wheel. Oliver Webb and Jem, of course. So that was awesome. One thing I want to point out is just how insane Time Attack is as a concept, and as a racing series. Like what it actually means. You're effectively, what did I do here? You're effectively taking lightweight vehicles, and putting as much power as you can into them. These cars have to make upwards of 700, 800, 900 to 1,000 horsepower plus, because it's all about speed. And so as you increase that horsepower threshold, as you increase the power on these very lightweight cars, you now have something that is just too difficult to maintain on the track. And so how do you combat that? Massive aero packages. When you guys Google Time Attack cars, you see huge wings, front and rear. They have massive canards on the sides, low downforce, or low drag wings, very, very high downforce, under trays and underbodies using a lot of what's called ground effect. So ground effect is this concept in physics when the vehicle, the faster it goes, it gets sucked down towards the ground, generating downforce, and that effect only happens when the car is going really fast. And so these cars, they are meant to generate a massive amount of horsepower in order to get up to that speed where the downforce actually starts to work for the car. That doesn't even go into the brakes. If we want to talk about the brakes, they have these incredible carbon rotors with carbon pads on these massive brake calipers, and the heat that these things generates is, I'm not a whatever they're called, thermo scientist. I don't know temperatures of heat and all that stuff, so they're in the hundreds. I don't know how exactly hot they get, but they're in the hundreds. They glow red really fast when they slow down from 200 miles an hour down to 40. So seeing these cars go around the track, especially that car Toomey Corvette, was just something out of this world. I mean, I'm serious. And I might have to drop a link into this as well. I'm going to make a note about that. I'm going to have to drop a link right now into the episode on that Corvette. This Corvette, he's been traveling, I don't know, everywhere, just setting records at all these different places. So we're going to have to mention him in the notes so that people can see this Corvette, because basically what you have is a Corvette with a mostly Kevlar carbon body, huge aero package, and it's twin turbo with a sequential gearbox. I'm not going to speak too much on the engineering of the car out of respect to him. I'd prefer you guys just to watch his content and find out more about the car, because I personally don't want to make any guesses. But you can see the turbochargers directly behind the front wheels. So they're mid-mounted basically, behind the engine, behind the front wheels. Huge turbochargers, and I know that the car makes over 1,300 pounds or over 1,300 horsepower on full beans. And so he went to Japan, set a record there, came back. He's been just dominating Time Attack in the United States. So please check out that Corvette. It is awesome. We'd love to have him on the show to talk a little bit about that car. My cat's over here just being completely crazy. I hope he's not. Hope the microphone doesn't pick up all that noise, because that would be super annoying for you guys to hear him just creating a mess in the other room. I'm pretty excited about the Jeddah Grand Prix. A little bit later this afternoon, I guess this morning. It's going to be before noon. We have. It's going to be a lot to look at. Does Antonelli, make a surprise? Should be a dry race. Obviously, it's going to be really hot. So it's there's no room for error at this place. You're within centimeters of the wall. If you guys remember a couple of years ago, I think it was last year actually, Ollie Behrman stepped in for Carlos Sainz and raced at this track in a Ferrari for the first time in his life in a Formula One car. He was substituted in, and he won points. So he's no stranger to this track as a rookie, effectively. That's pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to have to kind of keep an eye on some crucial moments. Maybe there's some highlight elements that we'll want to talk about on next week's episode, because I do think that there's going to be a lot to walk away with from this particular race. Should Ferrari have these upgrades ready in time, do we estimate them getting back into the top three? The top three meaning McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes, oddly enough, in my opinion, is doing the best out of the rest. If you let this Grand Prix just purely develop, you effectively need to watch Mercedes becoming a thorn in Red Bull's side, chasing McLaren. So what we really, really need now is for Ferrari to get it together with Lewis, because Charles is bringing home some decent results. He's starting this race in fourth. So we've got to get Lewis on pace. We've got to get Lewis comfortable with the Ferrari. I know he has the potential to be a truly, truly fantastic asset to the team. That's why they're paying him all of this money. So let's just see what happens. I'm really, really excited. And like I said, guys, make sure you put your bets in on Prize Picks. Make sure you put your picks in. It's going to be a interesting development. Miami, fantastic track. It's going to be a cool sight. Obviously, I'm not going to Miami to watch this race, but we will talk about it on the show. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff there. It's Super Lab Battle. It was my first time going. One thing I was surprised by is the lack of fans. Time Attack has always been in my top, I don't know, 3 racing categories besides Formula One, GT, and LMP style prototype racing cars, endurance racing. Besides that, Time Attack is easily up there with Super Formula, just because I'm a sucker for anything Japanese. So Time Attack is just, it's so fascinating that this is the only category where the two main elements of the of the build strategy, so to speak, the way the structure of the racing is put together is massive amounts of speed with massive amounts of downforce. So big wings and just tons of horsepower, sticky tires. Like, that's the kind of racing that I like. I like to see the mechanical side of racing where you really, really, really have to turn up all of the physics to another level to make these cars do what you want them to do. Because when you nail that equation of matching and or exceeding the threshold of the power band relative to the downforce that the car is creating, you just have a car that is sticking to the road any direction you throw it. Minimal understeer, minimal oversteer. It's grippy right down in the center, and the driver just has to squeeze the throttle and squeeze the juice out of the car. Like, that's probably the most exciting stuff, and I quickly realized that when we were there in person, like, this is insane. Like, these cars are flying, and there's no one in the stands. There's no one there. I've seen more fans there for drifting events. And as a matter of fact, they did have drifting there. So it's really cool. Like, Super Lab Battle, I guess, brings multiple types of events. So in one portion of the track, I think it was around down the long 11 straight, I think. Yeah, in the parking lot with the Valero gas station, because the track has its own gas station. So at the Valero, there was drifting there. And like, they were doing slaloms and tandems and like really, really cool stuff, while Super Lap battles going on around them on the big track. There was also a car show. Really, it was pretty awesome. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you do, because I do post pictures from all of these events, obviously from a first-person kind of perspective. So AutoTalksUS_IAP, that's where you can find me. That rhymes. Cool. And it's just a great way to kind of stay in touch. If you ever want to reach out with some, suggestions for the show, any guests you want us to have on, we can reach out to them, see if they'd love to come on and tell their stories. But yeah, of course, it goes without saying, guys, that this year has been pretty interesting. Tariffs on global goods, including cars, is not what we had on our bingo card. But what does that mean for the consumer and what does it mean for the buyer? In my opinion, it just means you have to think smarter and have a better strategy. It doesn't change the name of the game. It doesn't change the game in any way. Cars have always been expensive. Cars have always been a luxury and not necessarily a given. So, we see this all the time. We see regular consumers make this mistake when they go into the dealership regularly. They don't have a strategy. They haven't spoken to a third-party consultant or a third-party expert before they made up their mind on a particular car from a particular dealership at a particular time. What you have to consider is the marketplace. What you have to consider are your other options, and you have to consider what kind of negotiating strategy you're going to do when you leverage your own money against the knowledge of a dealership who does it full-time. Are you prepared to swing with the big dogs? You are buying your maybe fourth, fifth, sixth car of your life. Well, this is the 20th one they've sold this month. Who has the upper hand on the knowledge and the foundation? So you've got to talk to an expert before you make a decision, whether it's a $10,000 Honda Accord or a $1.2 million Carrera GT. We have dealt with it all. We have dealt with it all. We know what we're doing. And we have the resources and the strategies to help. So don't be afraid to reach out. IEPconsultingsolutions.com. It's the official sponsor of the show. It's the official sponsor of Auto Talks US. We're proud to have this sort of kind of an independent concierge service within the show itself. It's a really great way for us to give back and to help the people that listen to the show every day. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. We are going to get ready for the race now. What I typically like to do is try to make some kind of food that really matches the tempo of the race. So a lot of Middle Eastern stuff. I've got some beef in there. I've got some falafel, some hummus. I'm going to make some rice probably. For those of you that don't know, I'm a huge cook. I love to cook. It's like one of my favorite things to do. So that's probably what I'm about to get going on. And then get ready to watch this race, get my picks in, and hope for the best. With that being said, guys, I am out. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys on the next one. Auto Talks US is out. Boom.